Harvard University admission case challenge who is in a minority. Indonesian child mortality rate spikes amid COVID-19 surge. Black smoke rises from fire at London's train station. Florida governor announced start of Python challenge. Welcome back to TV Education Timor. Here again with me, dear Silalahi, Vanya in the Voice of American News. Today, I'll give you this week information from all around the world, which will provide you to the real news in which is taken factually and actually in international. VOA and TV Education Timor cooperate to deliver Voice of American News in Timor-Leste through the TV Education Timor channel. Well, let's begin the news for today. Around the world, more than 75 million people clean, cook, and provide care in private homes, according to the international organization.
Around 7 in the morning, Marie-Hélène prepares her young daughter for nursery school here in Senegal's capital.
Bravo!
She used to leave by 6 a.m. to work as a housekeeper, usually without job security or benefits.
Longues horaires, il n'y en a pas de contrat.
Long hours. There is no contract, and a lot of bosses don't keep their word. They want to drop you, they will drop you right away.
Ils ne respectent pas leurs paroles. Ils ont envie de t'arrêter, ils vont t'arrêter tout de suite.
Until late in her pregnancy, Sen worked 14-hour days with 2 days off each month, earning less than $170 a month. But now, Sen is enrolled in a training program for domestic workers at the Thylane Academy, refining her cooking and cleaning skills and her professional demeanor. Marie-Hélène Sagna started the academy after spending years in France.
Je considère le travail de maison comme un vrai métier.
I consider housework to be a real job, and because it is a real job, it deserves to be learned like any other job. The goal is to have professionals who will be able to showcase their skills.
Tuition for the 3-month training program is nearly $275. It's often paid for by employers or donors, as in Sen's case. She hopes to improve her skills and earn better wages.
Avant, si tu n'as pas reçu la formation, tu demandes un certain salaire, on te dit que...
If you asked for a certain salary without any training, you probably wouldn't get that amount. But with training, God willing, it's possible.
Mashallah.
After training, Sagna works to connect graduates with employers and helps set terms of employment.
On ne place pas les employés n'importe où.
We select an employer who will meet our working conditions. We do not place employees anywhere. We have an hourly rate to be respected. Our main interest is to establish a win-win relationship.
Notre intérêt principal, c'est d'essayer d'établir une relation gagnant-gagnant.
Employer pays the academy a commission and management fee for each placement. Nana Plea, who is looking for a domestic help, supports worker protections and fair compensation.
Il devrait y avoir quand même une réglementation.
Help these women. What I see is slavery. They eat after everyone else. They go to bed after and get up before everyone else.
Parce qu'elles mangent après. Elles se couchent après, elles se lèvent avant tout le monde.
Thylane Academy and other employment agencies in Dakar hope to change that by improving skills and working conditions. For VOA News, Alison Legogo Fernandez, Dakar, Senegal.
Indonesia is struggling with another peak of COVID-19 infection, top 2 million in June, with the Delta variant driving the current surge. And as the country's pediatrician pointed, 1 out of 8 confirmed cases were found in children, and the fatality rate among children is the highest in the world.
I'm still being quarantined today. About to have my swab test to check if I'm COVID negative.
Vanya Silalahi spent 2 weeks quarantined in Jakarta's COVID-19 hospital with her mother and 5-year-old brother Titus.
My second child, Titus, first got fever. He was shivering at night. The next day, I caught the same symptom, then also my daughter. Our throats started to feel sore. A week after the fever, I discovered I could not smell things.
Silalahi eventually got herself and her children tested. The results came back positive for the highly contagious Delta variant of the coronavirus first detected in India. She decided to quarantine with her 2 kids in a government facility.
I honestly felt embarrassed to be among these COVID patients. I asked myself, how did I end up here? I had been very strict when it comes to COVID health protocol. This hurts me.
The mother says she tried to keep her kids' spirits up during quarantine and got permission to bring along her children's toys.
Probably I had the most stuff on the COVID bus. I brought a scooter, roller skates, mini cars, every toy for them to play with.
Doctors in Indonesia are reporting an alarming increase in the number of COVID-19 cases affecting children. Indonesia Pediatric Society data says children make up 12.5% of confirmed COVID-19 cases in the country.
This means 1 out of 8 confirmed cases in Indonesia is found in children. Our data shows fatality rate among children with COVID is 3 to 5%. This is the biggest in the world.
Experts say the new Delta variant, along with loose health protocols in Indonesia, have contributed to the spike of COVID-19 cases in Indonesia. Official data show an average of 15,000 daily cases as of June 25th. Pediatricians highly recommend parents to keep their children at home.
All activities involving children 0 to 18 years old are better to be done online.
Renata counts herself lucky as she and her children are now allowed back home and recovering. From Jakarta, Indonesia, Randy Wicaksana for Eva Mazrieva, VOA News.
A massive fire broken out near a central London train station on Monday, 28th of June, sending a volume of smoke over the British capital. The Supreme Court recently asked the Biden administration for its input on Harvard University admission lawsuit. Connor Smith for VOA News.
The U.S. Supreme Court is facing a case about Harvard University's admission policy that considers race in its selections. The High Court has asked the U.S. Justice Department for input. University of Kentucky professor Gregory Vincent says it's important for the court to seek the administration's views.
I think getting some sense of what the administration is thinking, particularly administration that has a focus on education, I think is interesting. And it's good that they're getting that viewpoint, especially when you're reviewing a recent precedent.
5 years ago, Vincent was a spokesperson at the University of Texas, Austin, when the school was sued over its affirmative action policies.
What we were able to persuasively argue is that diversity is a compelling interest in higher education, that all students benefit from a robust and diverse learning environment, that it was a national security imperative, and it advanced good business.
The attorney who represented a student against the University of Texas after she was denied admission said affirmative action is biased.
We have said in our briefs, and certainly we've said all along, that race is an odious classification. To do it for reasons that are not compelling and are not established by the evidence and were not the basis of decision is inappropriate.
The U.S. Supreme Court held then in 2016 that using race in admissions decisions is lawful. But now, those who support affirmative action are concerned that the High Court's 6-3 conservative majority could end it. Julie Park is an associate professor of education and advised Harvard on its defense. She says if the lawsuit against Harvard is victorious, it could have a devastating impact on minority students.
It would be disastrous for African American, Latinx, indigenous communities within higher education, both at Harvard specifically, but then also writ large across the country, both in public institutions and private institutions.
If you take race out of the equation, it disproportionately impacts African American students, Latino students, students from low socioeconomic backgrounds. The traditional measures of so-called merit, like grades and test scores, disproportionately favor students who come from affluent backgrounds who go to high-resource schools.
The lawsuit is led by Edward Bloom, a legal strategist from Texas. Bloom enlisted a group of unnamed Asian American students in the suit. They say that affirmative action suppresses Asian American enrollment in favor of other minorities. But a 2020 survey showed that 70% of Asian Americans support affirmative action.
I've seen Asian Americans who are just confused. We're a diverse community in every way, and so I think you have a variety of reactions.
Vincent says there is a lack of evidence that Asian Americans are excluded in the admissions process. The justices have postponed the case, but didn't reject it.
But it would just send a message, which I think a troubling message, that this issue is still unresolved.
Connor Smith.
Florida governor announced start of Python challenge, and the Python removal will start July 9 and last for 10 days.
Burmese pythons are thriving in Florida's Everglades National Park. They are not native to South Florida and have few enemies. These snakes can reach up to 5 meters in length and are hurting the fragile ecosystem of the park as they hunt birds, small mammals, and even alligators. That's why in early June, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis announced the kickoff of the Florida Python Challenge, a 10-day snake removal program starting July 9th.
So they were unfortunately introduced in the late 1900s, 1970s, 1980s, mostly through the pet trade, and those were through accidental and purposeful releases. The great things about the challenge is it definitely brings that message out there about this invasive species and the impacts this species is having, and it helps include the public in helping solve that problem and going out and searching for these pythons and getting a good understanding about why it's difficult to control this species and why we have to come at it from a multi-pronged approach.
A female Burmese python lays about 50 to 100 eggs once a year, and their population has been growing dramatically in the past 2 decades. Since 2000, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has removed over 13,000 pythons, but it's getting increasingly hard to control the number of snakes. That's why since 2013, Florida's authorities have been organizing python challenges, competitions among locals in finding these invasive snakes.
It was done roughly every 3 years, 2016, 2019, and then in 2020, our governor, who's always supported our non-native program, decided to host this challenge annually. So as of last year, we're holding the competition every year.
And as a result of our efforts, FWC had a record year for python removal in 2020. We love the Python Challenge. I know there's a lot of people. There's people from all over the world that want to come do the Python Challenge. So we want to continue to do that.
Over 550 square kilometers of the Everglades National Park becomes a hunting ground for both professional hunters and those who are new to it. The main requirements are to be officially registered, to observe all the safety measures, and to be willing to help the national park's wildlife. What's more, the hunters may only use a humane airgun pistol. It is forbidden to remove live snakes.
So this year, we're doing cash prizes for the most pythons caught and the longest. So 2 categories, and of course, there are 2 levels, the novice winner and the professional winner. The longest python is going to be $2,500, and the most pythons is also $2,500. And then second place is $750 in each category.
The skins of the caught pythons can be sold or used for textiles, and even making jewelry. It is not advisable to eat the python meat. Within the Everglades, the snake's meat has been found to contain high levels of mercury. For Lilia Anisimova in Florida, Anna Rice, VOA News.
To learn how the city of Long Beach, California has come out to help children who are transitioning through the migration system.
I came when I was 5 years old, and my family immigrated to the U.S. Because the situation back home in Peru just was not good. It was not a lot of jobs, a lot of poverty, and so I'm just grateful that so many Americans, when we arrived, were so helpful and kind to us. We got a call from the Biden administration to see if we were willing to host some of the kids, and our immediate response was yes. There are about 700 kids right now. They got 3 meals a day, they're going to school, they're playing. A lot of the kids are already leaving. They're being reunited with their family in the United States. Most of them have family in the US already, or with sponsor families as well. The community's raising money. They've already raised about $160,000 just for additional support, gift cards for kids, additional books, materials, and a lot of books and toys have been donated by the community.
They have the Long Beach book drive for the migrant kids. And when I saw it on TV, I've been retired for a couple of years, and I have books in the garage, and a lot of them are kids' books. My kids have been gone for years and years. And I said this would be the perfect situation by donating the books.
We got Sesame Street, numbers games.
When I initially heard it was actually on the news that Long Beach was partnering with the federal government to bring migrant children to the Long Beach Convention Center, and I was like, I want to donate, and I'm sure there will be other people in my network that want to donate, so I just put it on my Instagram and see what would happen, and I raised over $500. So the $500 initially, covered a lot of books. And in the email from the mayor, Robert Garcia, it said both English and Spanish, so I wanted to be mindful of that. And luckily there was a lot of great books that honored the heritage of the Mexican culture as well. So, books about Frida. I thought it'd be great to not only raise that money and support the cause, but then also support a local business, which is why I came here to Little Devils.
I reached out to Mohammed and we just chatted a little bit back and forth, and I told him, I was like, we really want to be able to match your $500 purchase with a $500 donation on our end.
When it comes to this specific situation of Long Beach bringing in migrant children, I'm in full support of it. I understand that it's not a perfect solution and it's a temporary thing, but I also feel like the situation at the border is so intense right now, and some of the facilities that I've seen on the news and from what I've seen depicted in the media, it just seems like unlivable conditions. So I feel like bringing them here and partnering with local border cities and giving them a place that's a little bit more comfortable while they figure out a solution, I think is the best way to go.
It's just a Band-Aid. It doesn't solve the problem, but it's better than the kids coming over and being at the whims of the coyotes and the other traffickers.
Obviously my immigration story is a lot different than theirs. I can't relate directly to their personal trauma, but immigrating, any kid that comes and it comes to a new country and immigrates and doesn't know the language and is poor and doesn't have resources does have a shared experience. And so I do relate on that level. But I think also what they've gone through is just unspeakable types of trauma. And I'm grateful there's a medical team and there's counselors and there's staff that can really protect and take care of them.
Kids are kids, I see a kid, it doesn't matter where they're from or what their background is. I think if a child is in need and a child needs help, then adults, any adult, should step up and help. Yeah, no matter what.
Well, viewers, that's all the news for today's section. I'm their Silalahi Vanya and all crew of VOA and TV Education Timor. We would like to say thank you so much for watching. Have a great day and see you next time. TV Education Timor is the future inspiration.